Earth's most sensitive telescopes detected unusual signals from beyond Neptune's orbit in June 2137. Scientists initially thought they had discovered a new celestial phenomenon, but military intelligence quickly recognized the truth. An alien fleet approaching at incredible speed. In the Kavan command ship, General Taiho stood before the holographic display of Earth's solar system. His tall, scaled body towered over the officers around him. The blue planet looked small and insignificant from this distance. "Another primitive world to add to our collection," Taiho said, his voice deep and confident. "Our scans show basic, space capabilities and rudimentary weapons. They will surrender quickly." His second-in-command, Commander Deho, wasn't so certain. "The intercepted transmission suggests these humans are quite resourceful, sir. They've developed faster than any species we've encountered." Taiho dismissed the concern with a wave of his clawed hand. "They still use combustion engines for space travel. They have no energy shields, no faster-than-light technology. They are children playing with toys." The Kavan fleet moved past Jupiter, their massive ships causing gravitational disturbances that Earth scientists observed with growing alarm. On Earth, emergency meetings filled the United Nations chamber. President Jiwon of the Global Defense Alliance stood before world leaders, her expression grave. "We have confirmed the objects approaching are artificial vessels. They are not responding to any communication attempts. All evidence suggests hostile intent." Panic spread across cities worldwide as governments released the news. Humanity had long wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer, and it was terrifying. In orbit around Earth's moon, Ambassador Jisoo prepared for first contact aboard Earth's largest diplomatic vessel. The small ship carried samples of human art, music, scientific achievements, and peace offerings. "We must try diplomacy first," she insisted during her final transmission to Earth. "These beings have crossed the stars. Surely they can be reasoned." With her small ship approached the Kavan fleet near Mars. The alien vessels dwarfed hers, each one nearly the size of a small moon. General Taiho watched the approaching Earth ship with amusement. They send one tiny vessel? Do they not understand their situation? When Ambassador Jisoo's face appeared on the communication screen, Taiho studied her with cold interest. Her message played in the command center, automatically translated by Calvin Computers. "We welcome you to our solar system as friends. Earth wishes to establish peaceful relations and cultural exchange with your civilization." Taiho replied without hesitation. "The Kavan Imperium does not negotiate with pre-spacefaring species. You will surrender your world and accept your place as subjects of our empire." Jisoo tried again. "Surely we can find common ground. War benefits neither of our peoples." Taiho ended the transmission and turned to his weapons officer. "Target their lunar bases. Show them our resolve." Brilliant beams of energy shot from the Kavan ships, striking Earth's moon bases. The explosions were visible from Earth's surface, causing mass panic. Ambassador Jisoo's ship retreated toward Earth, broadcasting warnings. "They've attacked without provocation. All defensive systems activate." Earth's military leaders scrambled to respond. Colonel Minsu, commander of Earth's orbital defense platforms, deployed his limited resources in an unusual pattern. "Spread our ships widely," he ordered. "Use the asteroids for cover. We can't match their firepower, but we can confuse their targeting systems." The first battle took place near Mars. Earth's small fleet used the planet's moons as shields, darting between them to launch surprise attacks. Though outnumbered and outgunned, they managed to damage 2 Kavan scout ships. General Taiho watched, with growing irritation. These humans fight like insects, annoying but ultimately insignificant. When one Earth ship sacrificed itself to protect others, ramming a Kavan vessel at full speed, Taiho was momentarily surprised. They value their collective survival over individual lives. Interesting but futile. As the Kavan fleet pushed toward Earth, President Jiwon made the decision that would change humanity's fate. "Activate the Revenant Division," she ordered in a secure bunker beneath Seoul. Deep under the Rocky Mountains in a facility unknown to most humans, 500 soldiers received the activation code. These men and women had volunteered for Project Phoenix, an experimental program combining human biology with advanced nanite technology. Major Hyun, leader of the Revenant Division, addressed his troops. Today we defend not just our homes, but humanity's right to exist. The enemy believes we will fall easily because they can kill us. He smiled slightly. They don't understand that for us, death is merely an inconvenience. As the Kavan fleet entered Earth orbit and prepared ground, Assault Forces General Taiho issued final instructions. Take their major cities first. Minimize damage to infrastructure. These humans will make useful workers once they learn obedience. What Taiho didn't know was that humanity had prepared for this moment. The Revenant Division soldiers nearly impossible to kill were about to teach the alien general the most shocking lesson of his military career. The Kavan dropships entered Earth's atmosphere like falling stars, their hulls glowing red-hot as they descended through clouds toward major cities. General Taiho watched from his command ship, satisfaction evident in his yellow eyes. The invasion of Earth had begun. The first ships landed in Seoul's Olympic Park, crushing the stadium beneath their massive weight. Armored Kavan soldiers poured out, their scaled bodies protected by energy shields that shimmered blue in the morning light. They fired plasma weapons that melted concrete and turned vehicles into pools of liquid metal. "Move forward! Secure the government buildings!" shouted Commander Wonho, the Kavan ground force leader. His troops advanced with precision and confidence, having conquered dozens of worlds before. Earth's conventional military forces responded quickly, but were outmatched. Tanks exploded when hit by alien weapons. Fighter jets were swatted from the sky by defensive lasers. By noon, the Kavan controlled most of central Seoul. Similar scenes unfolded in Chicago and Mumbai. The aliens established forward bases, setting up energy barriers around captured territory. General Taiho received regular updates in his orbiting command center. "Victory proceeds as expected," Commander Daeho reported. "Human resistance is crumbling in all major landing zones. Their weapons barely penetrate our armor." But then, something unexpected happened in Seoul's Gangnam district. A squad of Kavan soldiers cornered a small group of human defenders in an office building. The aliens fired a barrage that should have killed everyone inside. As they entered, to confirm their kills, a female soldier with a silver insignia on her uniform stood up despite having a gaping hole in her chest. "What is this?" the Kavan squad leader hissed in surprise. Major Gina smiled as the wound in her chest began to close, nanites visibly rebuilding tissue before the alien's eyes. She raised her weapon and fired, her movements unnaturally quick. The entire Kavan squad was eliminated in seconds. Similar reports began coming in from all invasion fronts. Commander Wonho sent urgent messages to General Taiho. "The humans, some of them won't die. We hit them with direct fire and they get back up." Taiho dismissed these claims. "Nonsense. Your troops are seeing things. No species can survive plasma fire." But security footage retrieved from Mumbai showed something impossible. Lieutenant Minho took 3 direct hits to his body, fell to the ground, and then rose again 2 minutes later to continue fighting. The video clearly showed his wounds healing themselves as if time were running backward. In Chicago, a Kavan patrol reported killing Captain Sunwoo on Tuesday during a skirmish near Lake Michigan. Yet on Thursday, the same officer led an assault that recaptured the Willis Tower. The confused aliens recorded the battle, showing the footage to their superiors. It was undoubtedly the same human they had killed 2 days earlier. Field Commander Do-hyun, leading forces in Mumbai, sent an urgent communication to the command ship. "General, something is wrong with these humans. Squad 7 reported eliminating a unit of soldiers near the harbor, but the same soldiers ambushed them 6 hours later. I watched a human continue fighting after losing both arms. The limbs, they regrew while we watched." Taeho's anger grew with each report. "You're allowing human tricks to frighten you. They are using identical troops to create confusion. Double your efforts." But privately, the general was troubled. He reviewed the battle footage himself, seeing a human soldier named Sergeant Junho take a direct hit to the head. The human collapsed, clearly dead, only to stand again 90 seconds later as nanomachines reconstructed his skull and brain tissue. The soldier's eyes glowed silver momentarily before he rejoined the fight. "What kind of technology allows this?" Taiho demanded of his science officer. Science Officer Jinwoo had no answers. We need to capture one of these soldiers for study. A Kavan Special Forces team managed to capture Major Hyun in Seoul after using overwhelming force to incapacitate him. They brought his sedated body to a temporary research facility. The aliens cut into his body, amazed to find microscopic machines flowing through his bloodstream like silver mercury. The nanites are rebuilding tissue faster than we can damage it, reported the lead researcher. They appear to be connected to a quantum network. Before they could learn more, an explosion rocked the facility. The Revenant Division had tracked their comrade's location. Major Hyun awakened during the attack, his restraints no match for his enhanced strength. The research team found themselves trapped in the room with a soldier they had been dissecting minutes earlier. Back in his command ship, General Taiho received increasingly desperate reports from his ground forces. Standard tactics were failing. Human soldiers who should be dead kept returning to the battlefield. Morale among Kavan troops was deteriorating rapidly. They're calling them ghosts, Commander Daeho reported. The soldiers are saying humans have no souls. That's why they can't be killed. For the first time in his long military career, General Taiho felt real concern. He stared at the tactical display showing cabin positions being pushed back across all fronts. Something unprecedented was happening and he needed to understand it. Prepare my shuttle, he ordered. I will observe these unkillable humans myself. As his ship descended toward Earth, Taiho couldn't know that this decision would forever change his understanding of warfare and the very nature of his enemy. General Taiho's shuttle landed in Singapore, which his forces had captured during the first day of the invasion. The city's famous skyline showed signs of battle: broken glass, scorched buildings, and Kavan barricades at major intersections. Commander Hojin greeted the general with a stiff salute. The situation is deteriorating, sir, Hojin reported as they walked toward the command post established in the Marina Bay Sands Hotel. We've lost 3 sectors since yesterday. Taiho's scales darkened with anger. Show me these supposed unkillable humans. Inside the command center, Hojin played video footage captured by Kavan helmet cameras. The images showed a group of human soldiers with silver insignias advancing through heavy fire. One soldier, Sergeant Junho, moved ahead of the others. A Kavan energy blast hit him directly in the neck, severing his head completely. Watch closely, Hojin said. On screen, the headless body of Sergeant Junho remained standing. Tiny silver particles swarmed around the wound, forming a glittering net. Within seconds, a skeletal structure began to take shape. Muscle tissue, blood vessels, and skin followed rapidly. In under 2 minutes, Sergeant Junho's head had completely regenerated. He blinked, looked around, and continued his advance. Impossible, Taiho whispered, his confidence shaken for the first time. As if to emphasize the point, alarms suddenly blared throughout the command center. Human forces were attacking the perimeter. Taiho followed Hojin to the defensive positions, determined to see these soldiers for himself. The battle was fierce. Kavan troops fired continuously at the advancing humans. Taiho watched through binoculars as a female soldier took multiple hits to her chest and legs. She fell, but instead of staying down, her body began to repair itself. The wounds sealed closed as silver particles swarmed beneath her skin. Within moments, she was back on her feet. Continuing to fight. What are we facing? Taiho demanded. A captured human scientist had been brought in for questioning. Dr. Minji sat calmly despite being surrounded by alien captors. She showed no fear as Taiho approached. Explain this technology, he ordered. Dr. Minji studied the alien general. It's called Project Phoenix, quantum-linked nanites integrated with human biology. For what purpose? Taiho asked. It was never meant for war, she answered. The technology was developed to cure terminal diseases and repair catastrophic injuries. The nanites can rebuild any damaged tissue as long as the neural pattern is preserved somewhere in the quantum network. Science Officer Jinwoo joined them, holding a sample of silver fluid recovered from a wounded human soldier. These machines operate on principles we've never encountered. They store the complete molecular blueprint of their host and can rebuild from almost any damage. How do we kill them permanently? Taiho demanded. Dr. Minji smiled slightly. You would need to destroy every nanite in their system simultaneously, otherwise the remaining ones will simply rebuild what was lost. Outside, the battle intensified. Taiho watched in growing horror as human soldiers continued fighting despite injuries that would kill any other species. A soldier named Corporal Kyung took a direct hit that vaporized his right arm, yet within minutes a new limb had grown in its place. The Revenant Division, Dr. Minji explained, consists of volunteers who underwent the complete nanite integration. They can only truly die if their entire body is reduced to atoms, destroying all nanites simultaneously. Taiho's tactical mind raced. Standard Kavan doctrine relied on superior firepower and precise strikes to eliminate enemy forces. But how could you defeat an enemy that refused to stay dead? As if reading his thoughts, Dr. Minji added, the technology has limitations. The energy cost of complete regeneration is enormous. Each soldier can only undergo full reconstruction a limited number of times before requiring nanite replenishment. This information gave Taiho little comfort as reports came in of Kavan positions falling across the city. His troops were demoralized, some abandoning their posts rather than face opponents they couldn't permanently defeat. In a quiet moment, Taiho reviewed everything he knew about warfare, about the psychology of combat. Throughout his career, he'd relied on the enemy's fear of death as a weapon. Remove that fear, and his entire strategic approach collapsed. Tell me, he asked Dr. Minji, why did your people limit this technology to just some soldiers? Why not your entire population? The choice must be voluntary, she replied. The nanites link to the quantum network, storing a person's consciousness pattern. Many humans consider this a violation of their natural life cycle. The Revenant soldiers sacrificed something profound to defend us. As night fell over Singapore, Taiho stood on the balcony of the command center. In the distance, silver-eyed soldiers advanced methodically toward his position. They moved without fear, without hesitation. For the first time in his military career, General Taiho considered the possibility of defeat. Prepare evacuation protocols, he ordered Commander Hojin, and bring me everything we have on quantum field disruption. If we can't kill these soldiers, perhaps we can at least temporarily disable them. The battle for Earth had entered a phase no Kavan military strategist had ever anticipated, fighting an enemy that had conquered death itself. 3 weeks into the invasion, humanity launched its counteroffensive. Dawn broke over Bangkok as Captain Sunwoo led 50 Revenant soldiers toward the Kavan command center. They moved in perfect synchronization, their silver eyes reflecting the morning light. Regular human forces provided support, but the Revenants took the lead in every dangerous operation. Remember, conserve your nanites, Sunwoo told his troops. We hit hard, we hit fast, and we keep moving. The Kavan had established their regional headquarters in Bangkok's tallest skyscraper. Guard towers surrounded the building, and energy shields created a perimeter that conventional forces couldn't breach. But the Revenants weren't conventional. Captain Sunwoo stepped into the open, directly facing the main guard tower. Kavan weapons locked onto him immediately. Fire at will, the alien commander ordered. Energy blasts tore through Sunwoo's body, leaving smoking holes in his chest and abdomen. He collapsed to his knees, then to the ground. The Kavan soldiers watched, waiting. To confirm the kill, 30 seconds passed. Then silver particles swarmed around Sunwoo's wounds. His tissue reformed as he pushed himself to his feet. The Kavan fired again with the same result. Each time Sunwoo fell, he rose again. While the guards focused on this seemingly suicidal soldier, the rest of the Revenant team infiltrated the perimeter from multiple directions. By the time the Kavan realized their mistake, it was too late. Lieutenant Mingyu led a team that disabled the building's power core. The energy shields flickered and died. Sergeant Junho planted quantum disruptors that prevented the aliens from calling reinforcements. Within 20 minutes, the entire command center had fallen. Similar scenarios played out across the globe. In Chicago, Major Gina led an underwater assault team through Lake Michigan. The Kavan never expected an attack from beneath the water, especially one where soldiers could hold their breath indefinitely, thanks to nanite oxygen production. General Taiho received increasingly desperate reports from his field commanders. "They're everywhere," came the message from New Delhi. "They take fatal wounds and keep advancing. Our troops are refusing to hold positions." Taiho deployed his most devastating weapons. Antimatter bombs leveled entire city blocks in Los Angeles. A biological weapon released in Berlin targeted human cellular structure. Matter disruption fields that should have torn apart any organic being were activated in Sydney. None of it stopped the revenants. The antimatter explosions killed soldiers, temporarily, but the quantum network preserved their patterns. New bodies formed from surviving nanites within hours. The biological weapon was neutralized by the nanites before it could cause damage. The matter disruption field slowed the revenants but couldn't stop their advance. In his flagship orbiting Earth, Taiho watched tactical displays showing Kavan positions falling one after another. His scaled hands clenched into fists as another defeat was reported. "The humans in Rio de Janeiro have broken through," Commander Taiho reported. "They've captured our heavy weapons platform." "How?" Taiho demanded. "That position was protected by our elite guards." The human soldiers, they formed a living bridge across a killing zone. The first waves were destroyed, but they kept coming. They used their own regenerating bodies as shields for the conventional troops following behind. Taiho struggled to comprehend this strategy. In Kavan military doctrine, sacrificing soldiers was only done when absolutely necessary. These humans voluntarily endured death repeatedly to achieve objectives. "Prepare the evacuation," Taiho finally ordered. "We've underestimated these creatures, but escape wouldn't be so easy." As Kavan ships began lifting off from Earth, they faced a new threat. Revenant soldiers had modified themselves for space operations. Using captured alien technology, they boarded departing vessels. Colonel Yunho led the assault on Taiho's flagship. His team attached themselves to the hull as the massive ship rose from atmosphere. Using cutting tools, they created their own entrance. Alarms blared throughout the flagship as the breach was detected. Kavan soldiers rushed to defend their command center. When they arrived, they found Colonel Yunho waiting calmly, his silver eyes glowing in the dim emergency lighting. "You cannot win," the Kavan security chief hissed. "There are 50 of us, and 6 of you," Yunho smiled. "You still don't understand what we are." The battle that followed was unlike anything the Kavan had experienced. The Revenant soldiers fought with absolute conviction, absorbing devastating injuries only to recover moments later. The ship's security cameras recorded the entire engagement, transmitting the footage to the command center where General Taiho watched in horror. He recognized Colonel Yunho immediately. 3 days earlier, during the Bangkok assault, Taiho himself had vaporized this human with a handheld disintegrator. Yet here he was, completely reformed, leading an assault on the flagship. As the last security barrier fell, Taiho prepared for the final confrontation. He activated his personal energy shield and drew his ceremonial blade. As a warrior of the Kavan Imperium, he would meet his fate with dignity. The doors to the command center slid open. Colonel Yunho stepped through, wounds from the recent fighting already healing across his face and arms. "General Taiho," Yunho said calmly, "in the name of Earth's united governments, I'm here to accept your surrender." Behind the human stood 4 more Revenant soldiers, their silver eyes fixed on the alien general. Taiho realized with sudden clarity that his long military career was about to end with an unprecedented defeat. General Taiho sat in a plain white room beneath the United Nations building in Geneva. 3 weeks had passed since his capture. The walls were solid concrete, but not unpleasant. They had given him comfortable furniture adapted for his larger frame and reptilian physiology. It wasn't a prison cell exactly, but he couldn't leave. His scales had dulled from their usual lustrous blue to a pale gray, reflecting his changed circumstances. The door opened and General Sungho entered. The human commander walked with perfect posture, his silver eyes, the mark of a Revenant soldier, catching the light. "Good morning, General Taiho," Sungho said, taking a seat across from the alien. "I hope you've been treated well." Taiho nodded stiffly. "Your accommodations are adequate. When will the execution be scheduled?" General Sungho looked surprised. "Execution? We don't plan to kill you?" "I don't understand." Taiho replied. I led an invasion that caused thousands of deaths. In the Kavan Imperium, failed commanders face immediate termination. That's not how we do things here, Sung-ho said, placing a tablet on the table between them. I've come to discuss peace terms, not punishment. Taiho's inner eyelids blinked rapidly in confusion. Throughout his military career, defeat meant death. Victory meant domination. There was no middle ground in Kavan conquest. I want to show you something, Sung-ho continued, activating the tablet. A video played showing a hospital. Children with missing limbs received injections of silver fluid, nanites, that gradually rebuilt their lost body parts over several days. Project Phoenix wasn't created for war, Sung-ho explained. Dr. Minji developed it 15 years ago to help her daughter, who was dying from an incurable disease. The nanites were designed to repair damaged cells and tissues, to save lives. The video shifted to show victims of accidents being treated with the same technology. We only weaponized it when we detected your fleet approaching, Sung-ho continued. The Revenant Division was formed from volunteers, doctors, engineers, teachers, who were willing to sacrifice their normal lives to defend Earth. Taiho studied. The human general. Why show me this? Because I want you to understand who you were fighting. Not warriors bred for battle like your soldiers, but people who valued life so deeply, they found a way to overcome death itself. Over the next hour, Sung-ho explained more about human culture and values. He showed Taiho art, music, and literature. He explained how Earth's nations, once divided, had united in the face of alien invasion. Your arrival changed us, Sung-ho admitted. We set aside old conflicts to face a common threat. Taiho processed this information slowly. In my 300 years of military service, I've never encountered a species like yours. The Kavan believe strength comes from control, from the ability to destroy. Your strength comes from preservation. Different evolutionary paths led to different values, Sung-ho replied. The nanite technology represents our highest aspiration, to overcome suffering, to heal rather than harm. 2 days later, Taiho was brought to witness the peace negotiations. Representatives from Earth sat across from surviving Kavan commanders. The terms were surprisingly generous. The Kavan would withdraw completely from Earth, but technological exchanges would be permitted. No reparations were demanded. Why show such mercy? Taiho asked President Ji-won after the session. She studied the alien general thoughtfully. Revenge continues cycles of violence. We want something better. As weeks passed, Taiho was given more freedom. He toured Earth cities, some still bearing scars from the invasion. In Tokyo, he watched nanite treatments being used to heal injured civilians. In Cairo, he observed as Revenant soldiers helped rebuild destroyed buildings. 6 months after his capture, Taiho was permitted to send a message to the Kavan High Command. He stood before the transmission array, choosing his words carefully. My failure to conquer Earth was not due to tactical errors or insufficient forces, he began. It resulted from a fundamental misunderstanding of our opponent. Humans have developed a relationship with death unlike any species we've encountered. They do not fear it because they've learned to overcome it. He paused, scales shifting color as he experienced an emotion rare for a Kavan warrior. Humility. Recommend immediate cessation of all hostilities with Earth. More importantly, I suggest we learn from them. Their nanite technology could transform our society not for war, but for healing. The greatest strength isn't in destruction, but in renewal. 1 year after the failed invasion, Taiho stood beside President Ji-won as Earth's first ambassador to the Galactic Conclave. His presence, a former enemy now advocating for human interests, sent a powerful message to other spacefaring species. They turned you, a Kavan official accused during a private meeting. Taiho shook his head. They showed me something better than conquest. A civilization that values life so deeply they conquered death itself will never be defeated. They could have destroyed us completely, but chose cooperation instead. As ships from across the galaxy arrived to establish relations with humanity, Taiho watched with new understanding. The universe had always been filled with predators and prey, conquerors and subjects. Humans offered something different, a species whose greatest weapon wasn't their ability to kill, but their refusal to stay dead and their capacity for forgiveness.